for May 15th. I'd like to announce that the board met in closed session and took action to approve an agreement for the resignation of a certificated employee by unanimous vote. Today's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. Blue cards are available at the table just outside of the boardroom for anyone who wishes to address the board. If you wish to address the board, please complete a card and hand it to a staff member at the table to the right of the dais. Please be sure to indicate if the matter you wish to address is on the agenda or not on the agenda. If the matter is on the agenda, we'll assume you wish to speak when that item comes up, and we'll hold your card until then. First item on our agendas is always the Pledge of Allegiance, in which we take advantage of the opportunity to recognize one of our education partners. Tonight we're recognizing Miss Noemi Sharma, our education partner from Union House Elementary, and if she will please come up to the front, approach the dais along with Principal Dorothy Stoppelman. And as you come on up, my colleague Mr. Madison is going to tell us why you were selected.
Okay, good evening. The Union House Elementary School is honored to recognize Ms. Naomi Sharma as our educational partner. Naomi Sharma is one of the many dedicated Union House parents. She is a proud mother of fourth grader Angela Sharma. Mrs. Sharma dedicates a tremendous amount of time and energy to support not only her own child, but also students of our families at the Union House Elementary School. She has been an active member of our PTO board for the past several years, dedicating many hours to planning and organizing fundraising efforts, as well as an incredible events for our students, teachers, and families. In addition to volunteering on campus many hours of the week, Mrs. Sharma also represents Union House Elementary School on the District Categorical Advisory Council. She faithfully attends meetings, asks questions, provides feedback, and reports back to our site information that she's learned and can help support the Union House community. Naomi Sharma's dedication to education contributes to her own daughter's education success, as well as the success of all Union House pioneers. The staff and students and families of Union House Elementary want to thank Mrs. Naomi Sharma for her dedicated support. It is a parent like Mrs. Sharma that makes great things possible for all Union House students. Thank you. With that, will we please stand and remove caps?
Thank you. Is there anything you would like to say? Is there anything you would like to say? Thank you. One more round of applause. Thank you so much. Next up, we have our high school student representative reports. Today, we will be hearing from Cosumnes Oaks and Sheldon High School. Our first representatives will be from Cosumnes Oaks. in the audience, we got seniors t-shirts. One sec, let us check that microphone. We want to make sure everybody can hear you.
There you go.
All right.
Can you hear me now? Oh. Good evening, President Charles Espinosa, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Maya Moore.
And my name is Armand Shergill, and we are representing the Mighty Wolfpack. Cosumnes Oaks Top 10 dinner was yesterday, May 14th. The dinner was held in honor of students who have achieved the highest cumulative grade point averages. The Wolfpack students who have earned this prestigious award are Allison Chan, Antone Cruz, Emma Doan, Harjeet Man, Sukhdev Man, David Morley, Tyler Newman, Ashley Tan, Caitlin Wang, and Engelberta Yu.
Our production of Every 15 Minutes took place on April 10th and 11th. The crash scene of the program was held in our school parking lot, where juniors and seniors had the opportunity to witness firsthand the traumatic aftermath of a car crash. When classes resumed, every 15 minutes a student was pulled out of class as a representation of a victim every 15 minutes. The second day of the program, juniors and seniors attended a funeral in our school gym in remembrance of the deceased students. The freshmen and sophomores watched the funeral through our Wolfpack TV live stream. We want to thank California Traffic Safety, California Highway Patrol, Dignity Memorial, Kaiser, Cosumnes Fire, CJ's Towing, Cannon Sound and Light, The Flower Shop, and MAD for making Every 15 Minutes possible at our school. We had the pleasure of having the California State Assistant Director and the Head Director of Traffic Safety, California Highway Patrol, and Every 15 Minutes Director in attendance of our program to be able to witness the impact in educating students about the repercussions of driving under the influence. Because of CEO's successful contribution to the conversation about drinking and driving, Every 15 Minutes will receive a grant extension and continue on for future productions at other high schools.
On May 2nd, we had our final Unity Day of the year. 44 students attended the event and had the opportunity to learn about themselves and each other. This is an event where students from all backgrounds, ethnicities, and beliefs come together to understand how similar we actually are to one another. Later that week, on Friday, May 4th, we held our second parent luncheon. Over 600 parents came to the event and enjoyed lunch with their student. Parents and students participated in lunchtime activities, took pictures in the photo booth, and enjoyed a special Cinco de Mayo performance from our Latino club during both lunches.
Our spring 2018 athletics season has been filled with many accomplishments. The boys tennis team are league champions, boys golf qualified for playoffs, and in addition, our track and field athletes have qualified for subsections, which will be held this week at Vista del Lago High School. 9 of our Wolfpack athletes also earned Division I, Division II, or NAIA athletic scholarships this year.
ASB seniors had the chance to reach out to any past middle school teacher, elementary school teacher, or faculty member who has made an impact in their educational career with a surprise visit in their classroom. We would like to show a video of a presentation from a senior thank you this year. It is about 4 minutes long, however we will stop it at 2 minutes. This video is also available on YouTube if you would like to view it later. This is our way of demonstrating to teachers the impact they've had on their students.
Before we present the video, I would like to thank you all for your continued support and wisdom throughout my past 2 years here as a board representative. I am so thankful for this wonderful opportunity you all have given me to learn and build upon my skills. I will continue to apply my knowledge throughout my academic and developmental career. I am proud to say that I will be attending Azusa Pacific University in the fall, studying kinesiology with a health career focus. After my undergraduate studies, I plan to continue my education and work towards becoming a sports medicine physician. We would now like to introduce our next student board representative of the Mighty Wolfpack, Maikan Nguyen.
Thank you for your continued support, and remember that the strength of the pack is the wolf.
And the strength of the wolf is a pack. Now here is our video.
Yeah, it looks right. Whoops. Shot for the big rock in the ground. Go in, go in. Found a fan out there for you.
To an inspiring teacher, Miss Maddock. It's funny how large of an impression our teachers can leave upon our lives. Sure, you taught me facts, you taught me how to study, you taught me how to stay organized. However, you also taught me other, much more important things. You taught me to love learning. You never gave up on me or my classmates, regardless of how frustrating it could be. You always took a deep breath and pushed forward because you knew that one day the work you did would make a difference. When I moved here, it was a new start. New classes, new friends, new environment, and new teachers. When people speak about what inspires them, it's a tricky thing because sometimes you don't always know what or who inspires you. You just feel it. When I moved here sitting in first period humanities, I was scared. Scared that I would be behind, held up to expectations, or simply not noticed at all. But you changed that. You asked my story, where I was from, and what I loved to do. Always asked if I had questions or needed help on anything. If you don't see where this is going already, you inspired me. To be a better student, always want to learn more. And of course, to never be afraid to be yourself. Maybe you aren't told this often, but without you, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. You made me believe in myself when I felt that I was at my weakest. In my shell, afraid to start over again. You gave me confidence in more ways than one. By acknowledging my intelligence, creativity, ability, and personality, you showed me that I was growing in more ways than one. I guess what I'm saying is thank you. Thank you for keeping my spirits up when I needed it most. Thank you for spending extra time with me so that I could understand not only the material in your class, but better myself. Thank you for each late night you spent working, unpaid, not... And I have two drinks, if you want to attend my graduation. And a copy of
Surprise.
Cheers, this is the best. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Well,
Good luck to you.
before you walk away, I just want to say Ms. Allen and I were able to attend the senior awards at CO, and it was very nice, Maya, to see you come up again and again and receive all your recognition. So best wishes, congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you.
And it was lovely having you, and we look forward to seeing your colleagues again next year.
Thank you.
Next up, let's have our student representatives from Sheldon High School.
Good evening, President Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Thomas Lee, and I'm the current ASB president of Sheldon High School.
And my name is Priscilla Nguyen, the current ASB Vice President of Sheldon High School.
We have lots of exciting news to share with all of you. Just two weeks ago, the time of the year came by when all of our Team Husky mentors said goodbye to the mentees they had been guiding and teaching for the entire year. Although it was sad to see our amazing freshmen leave, it was exciting to see that they will end the year with the rewarding experience and mentors that can come for any help or advice.
Our own academic decathlon team also started the year strong and ended it even better. They took home 6th place overall and won 9 individual medals. We are so proud of them. Congratulations, Sheldon decathletes.
Speaking of achievements, our Huskies have been setting the bar high with all of their hard work. In fact, 10 students have been chosen to represent Sheldon's visual arts program in the 2018 California Youth Art Month show at the Crocker Art Museum. Their beautiful work was on display at the museum for all to see. 7 of these talented students even took home medals ranging from overall winners to the medal in the 3D art category. We had two amazing students place first and second at the Western Festival poster contest, showing how incredibly talented our Huskies are.
More into our visual arts area, 9 Huskies placed in the 2018 Superintendent's Art Contest. They did amazing with the guidance of Paula Floor, Kelsey Diller, and Chris Coates, who worked with these students and mentored them for any advice they would need. Great job and congratulations for all the hard work they exemplified.
In our Biotechnology Academy, guided by Kelly Cosney, Justin Cecil, Laura Zigenhart, Bob Fendo, and Jason Brennan, 23 of our students that created and submitted a science-based website has been recognized and won an award for their achievements. For the winning of the Teen Biotech Challenge, these students will have the chance to be formally recognized at the reception in UC Davis. Congratulations, Huskies.
Biotech also recently hosted an open house where students and family was able to get the chance to participate in hands-on activities such as gel electrophoresis, microscopy, chromatography, and forensics related tasks. It allowed for everyone and anyone to discover the influences of biotechnology on the world today and about all the different career pathways that the Biotech Academy provides for its members, including opportunities to learn about more experiences and skills that will help them in the future. It was a great experience. Thank you, Huskies.
Sheldon has also kickstarted Student Senate, inviting a group of student representatives to voice any concerns they may have, and also to get updated on all the amazing things we have on campus. We appreciate all the feedback from students, and it has definitely helped in improving campus life for all students and created an environment where the right way is emphasized. Thank you to all the 28 Sheldon Student Senators.
Moving on to sports, our track and field team has worked hard this entire season to move on to Masters Championships. With them, our women's softball team has moved off into playoffs towards the section championship, where they will eventually compete to bring home the championship title. We are very excited for where their hard work will take them. Great job, and we wish them the best for all the teams in these coming weeks.
We would like now to end our speech by recognizing and cherishing our seniors who will be graduating in a couple of days. Their hard work has paid off with the end of the year. Their hard work has paid off with the end of their senior projects. Every senior at our school works on a certain project throughout the year, something they're passionate about, everything from fixing a car from scratch to hosting food drives and events surrounding elementary schools. Their presentations and efforts did not fall short, showing how truly excellent each student is.
Just 3 days ago on Saturday, our seniors dined and danced at Senior Ball, hosted at the Sacramento Convention Center, and enjoyed times with their friends and dates. Many other exciting things are in store for our seniors with the couple of days we have with them. This week they will be taking their finals, but they will also get to enjoy Senior Sunset, where they join with their friends and fellow peers to watch the sunset together. They will also be having the chance to go to senior breakfast and eating a hearty and delicious meal prepared just for them.
And last but not least, it's graduation. Although we are all heartbroken to see our beloved Huskies go, we are definitely looking forward to all the amazing things for them in their future. We wish them the best of lucks in their lives, and we appreciate them for everything they have done to create lifelong memories here at Sheldon.
It's nearing the end of our speech, and we would just like to say that we have been honored to be able to present all of the things that make Sheldon what it is. We appreciate everyone in the room here today for taking the time out to be with us.
Moreover, we want to recognize our amazing staff and students, because without them, we definitely would not be able to stand here today and confidently talk about how positively our school has shown respect, integrity, tolerance, and empathy for everyone in it. With that being said, we hope everyone has a great evening, and as always, every day is a great day to be a Husky.
Nice job, Huskies. I'd like to recognize the principals of these two high schools. If Maria Osborne is here, would you please rise over there? Thank you so much. And do we have Paula Duncan, principal of Sheldon High School, hiding over there? So I am not going to excuse these board representatives yet because I believe we need them for the next item. Mr. Cerruti will be presenting our recognition of our 2017-18 student board representatives, which will be assisted by my colleague, Ms. Bobby Singh Allen.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. It's the time of the year when we have an opportunity to recognize our student board representatives. Before I do that, I want to again recognize it's a team effort, and I want to recognize all of our high school administrators that are here, so principals or vice principals representing, if you could just kind of wave to the crowd, that would be terrific. Thank you all. We also have activities directors who are here who do great work with those folks and their kids throughout the year. So our activities directors, if you're here, please by all means give a wave if you would. They tend to be shy. And then while I have a microphone, I also want to recognize Libby. Libby Sadhu not only orchestrates this, but there are 1,000 things going on in secondary education at this time of the year, and she manages them all. So thank you, Libby.
Thank you, Libby.
And so without further ado, let's recognize the students. We have their nameplates that they can take with them, as well as very nice plaques for our seniors. We wish you nothing but the best in the next stages of your lives. And juniors, we'll see you back here. Calvine High School, Dina K. Carr and Tamina K. Carr. Some folks are not here this evening, but we'll recognize them anyway. From Cosumnes Oaks High School, Mia Moore and Armand Shergill.
If you are here, please come on up.
From William Daler High School, Ruben Gomez and Darnisha Cooper. Daranisha Cooper, I apologize, Daranisha. From Elk Grove Charter, Akela Abdul Ali, Brianna Holquin, and Malika Khan. From Elk Grove High School, Cicely Trejo and Garrett Medina. I believe they are unable to be with us this evening. From Florin High School, Mariana Sanchez and Michael Mendoza. From Franklin High School, Serena Fenn and Ashley Rahal. From Laguna Creek High School, Jared Husing and Haley Rankin. From Las Flores High School, Destoni Clark and Michaela Liska. From Monterey Trail High School, New Fun and Simran Ram. From Pleasant Grove High School, Mandy Pangelinen and Abe Shankut. From Rio Cazadero High School, Kiana Longmire and Hunter Williams. From Sheldon High School, we just met them, Thomas Lee and Priscilla Nguyen. And last but definitely not least, from Valley High School, Alejandro Galicia and Kazima Rashid. Thank you all and congratulations. And again, seniors, good luck to you, and juniors, we'll see you next year. Thank you all.
parents, anyone family, feel free to come up to the front of the room if you want to get a good picture. You can come in front of these white tables. Ooh. All right, let's get the official photographer in there now that you're warmed up. Rest your cheeks. Thank you so much, student representatives. So this will be the last time I get to say it to the seniors in the group. Students, you may be dismissed. Our next item will be presented by Kelly Kwan Martin, and that is the EGUSD Science Fair and Invention Convention winners. And my colleague Beth Albiani will assist in the recognition. Okay, I think we're ready.
Thank you, members of the board, President Charles Espinoza, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos, and all those in attendance today for joining us as we recognize the 2018 Elk Grove Unified School District Science Fair and Invention Convention winners. The Science Fair and Invention Convention took place on April 18th and 19th. With over 150 projects from 36 schools, this boardroom was filled with the work of some of our district's brightest and most innovative students. These projects exemplified the critical thinking skills and scientific processing highlighted in the Next Generation Science and Common Core state standards. I would like to express my gratitude for all those who have dedicated time and resources to supporting this year's science fair, including the volunteer judges, teachers, administrators, science fair coordinators, and families. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to announce this year's Science Fair and Invention Convention winners. In the category of Invention Convention, in grades K through 3, from Roy Herberger, the first place winner is Alexia Feeney. In grades 4 through 6, from Raymond Case Elementary, Ruben Capcap. In middle school, from Elizabeth Pinkerton Middle School, Angelo Iniguez. And now for the science fair. In kindergarten, from Sheldon High Elementary School, Gavin Martin. In first grade, from Elliott Ranch, Xander Perks. In second grade, from C.W. Dillard, the team of Franklin Suda, Micah Blum, and Jake Johnson. In third grade, from Sierra Enterprise, Vernice Ramos. In fourth grade, from Ellen Fikert, Lila Mendez. In fifth grade, from C.W. Dillard, Abigail Moras. In sixth grade, from Pleasant Grove Elementary, Kyle Looper. In middle school, from Joseph Kerr, Sadie Muzzo. And in high school, from Elk Grove, Alethea Carter and Megan Melise, neither of which could be here tonight. Congratulations.
Is there one? I think
Excuse
we
me,
have
behind
one.
you.
My apologies.
Yep, sorry. Parents, come on up to the front of the room if you want to get a good picture. Plenty of room up front here in front of these white tables. Santi, were you going to get a picture of this, or did you? Okay, already got it. All right, well, one more round of applause for our Science Fair and Invention Convention winners. Thank you, students. Next Next up, Dr. Tony Limoges is going to present the recognition for the William Daler High School 2018 Academic Bowl. Wait up. Yeah, I know, right?
I have that effect on people. Thank you, President Chires Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. I have the pleasure tonight of recognizing William Daler High School for their academic bowl. The board is asked to recognize William Daler High School students and coaches for earning top honors and winning the perpetual trophy at the Sacramento County Academic Bowl. The Academic Bowl, sponsored by the Sacramento County Office of Education, is an annual competition for students attending community and continuation schools. This year's event was held on May 9th at Rosemont High School. This year's competition theme was Plastics, Reduce Single Use. Participating teams were challenged to demonstrate their knowledge of the widespread use of plastic and how it is affecting our environment and oceans. Prior to the competition, each team developed an upscaled or upcycled plastic product out of consumer plastic materials. I had to look this up. So upcycled is to reuse discarded objects in such a way to create a product of a higher quality or higher value than original. So if you're ever on Jeopardy, that may be a daily double for you. At the competition, they created recycling bins using plastic water bottles, cups, and straws. Teams also took the stage in front of an audience and a panel of judges to present public service announcement slideshows they produced on the competition theme. Students compete on 5 to 8 member teams and spend time in class and after school preparing for the demanding competition. In addition to mastering the academic content, students learn teamwork, computer and presentation skills, goal setting, and leadership. For a second year in a row, the team from William Daler High School placed first among the competition's 5 schools and also won the Upcycle Challenge Test. So you guys are witnessing a dynasty in the making. The board is asked to recognize the student team, their teacher Erna Piper, and volunteer Carmen Wadley for their outstanding accomplishments at the 2018 Sacramento County Academic Bowl. So I'm proud to announce the coach and the members of the team that are present this evening. So first, the teacher coach, Miss Erna Piper.
Come on down.
Student team member, Luis Romo. Team member Thomas Tobin. Evangeline Lopez. Priscilla Leva. And finally, Dancy Beaver. I'd like to also recognize the members of the team not present: Pa Lee, Randy Lee, Isaiah Herr, and Jacqueline Morones. None of this could be possible without the support of the principal, Miss Kathy Whiteside, who is also present. Thank you for taking the time to acknowledge this team on their academic accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up, parents. Anyone wishing to take a picture? now the official picture. Mhm. Congratulations, students. Next, Mr. Rod Edmiston will present the academic recognition of our spring student athletes and coaches. And my colleague, Dr. Martinez Alira, is on her way down there to assist.
Good evening. President Charez Espinoza, members of the school board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. This evening I'm honored to present to you the spring team GPA champions of the Elk Grove Unified School District. These student athletes not only excel in their athletic activity, but they are also outstanding students in the classroom. The following teams had the highest grade point average at their school this spring. At this time, I would like to introduce the coach and the captains of our spring GPA champions. From Cosumnes Oaks High School, men's tennis, team GPA 3.76, Coach Chris Wall, captains Gerard Lanilio and Patrick Wall. From Elk Grove High School, softball, team GPA 3.55, Coach Amanda Buck, captains Emma Day and Allie Hale. From Florin High School, men's tennis, GPA 3.4, Coach Swab Vaj and captains Wei Pang and Wenbin Kwan. Franklin High School was unable to attend tonight, but their team was a swim team with a 3.93 GPA. Laguna Creek High School, men's tennis, team GPA 3.78, Coach Carl Chapin, captains Long Lee and Kevin Lin. While we're having a picture, I'd like to acknowledge Maria Osborne, the principal from Cosumnes Oaks High School, and Doug Craig from Laguna Creek High School.
Parents, anyone wishing to come up to the room and take a picture? Congratulations again to our student athletes.
Monterey Trail High School, men's tennis, team GPA 3.9, coach Aiden Ford, captains Tree Dow and Scott Lee. I'd like to acknowledge Principal Eric Swanson. Pleasant Grove High School was unable to attend tonight, but the team was men's tennis with a 3.69 GPA.
Rod, behind you.
Over there. Come on up.
The audience. Coach Adam Harris and Captain Jeremy Schubert. From Sheldon High School, men's tennis, team GPA 3.72. Coach John Little, and accepting for Coach Little is Athletic Director Denise Aguilar, and the captains Jason Nguyen and Ryan Liu. And from Valley High School, men's tennis, team GPA 3.54, Coach Tung Lee and Captain Stephen Vang.
Thank you, students and coaches. Next item is our request for student expulsions. If anyone wishes to address the board in closed session regarding a student expulsion, please let us know. Seeing none, I'm going to call for a motion to approve the request for student expulsions. Do I have a motion?
I move approval of student expulsions.
Moved by Mr. Forcina, seconded by Mr. Madison. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that is unanimous. Next up, we have public comment. Just a reminder for folks who haven't done this before, we do limit you to 3 minutes, and there's a clock in front of you to help you. First up will be Leslie Cannon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm back. So, I only got 3 minutes. We had a meeting last week, and basically, since I was last here, we had a meeting with staff. Some things were promised, some things were taken care of, some were not. One, I want to just touch on what happened in the meeting, really critical to me. He did get a new case manager. However, it wasn't until maybe a week or so later. He hasn't met with her. I've asked for an IEP meeting. That hasn't happened. It's very, very important, very critical at this point, being that he missed almost a week of school, like 4 days. And I asked for homework on the 30th, and no one responded at all, except for Mr. Chapin. He was just here. He's driver's ed teacher. And so I figured they were watching movies or something. They must not have had any class work. I had to follow up the following week with the email saying, hey, I need to know what his work. Meanwhile, he's getting zeros and zeros and zeros. He's watching it. He sees it. So I finally got a response, maybe a day after, from a couple of teachers. Meanwhile, all his teachers were emailed originally, and the vice principal, Mr. Nguyen. So that's alarming to me. Um, he's being pressured to catch up. You need to take a test today for items that he's just got the homework on. He's just got the study quizzes and notes on. Now you need to take this test now. I want to touch on the SRO officer in the meeting that we had with the staff at CO. He was very hostile. Every time we began to speak, and we were speaking truth, he began to interrupt continually. And each time he did it, he would sweat like crazy, red face and everything. He was very arrogant. And what bothered me, I think, the most when I said, how come my son couldn't call me? First he said, I read his rights. And I was like, first you didn't, but that's okay. We know you didn't, but he said, I can do what I want to do. I don't have to let him call you his mother. And I said, excuse me? He go, I can do what I want to do. I don't have to let him call his mother. And I said, so say you read him his rights, even though you didn't. You have a right to remain silent. You have a right to attorney, and he has a right to call his mother. Why didn't that happen? So he got upset, and he stormed out of the meeting, after interrupting us over and over. So he's on the campus, I don't think he's there anymore. I don't know, I haven't seen him, but I haven't received really any follow-up, with what's going on. So I don't know. Julie doesn't know what's going on. He still doesn't feel supported by his teachers. Like I said, nobody is following up and saying, okay, this is what we're doing. How is it going? What do you need from us? What's going to make you feel safe? He does not still feel safe. And the OCI entries, who is monitoring that stuff in there? Because when I got that report, I was floored, and I had no idea. I was not notified. Why aren't they monitoring this? They can just recklessly write anything in there? Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And I hear that Officer Francis, he has access to that as well. He's looking in people's stuff. Where is the rebuttal? Can we have a rebuttal? Is that how you run things? It's unacceptable. So this is district-wide. We have a voice. We need to know. We should be notified. I want that stuff out of his file, period.
Thank you, Ms. Cannon. Next up, Julian Cannon.
I'm Julian Cannon, and I was here 2 weeks ago, and I'm here to express that the last time I was here, I didn't feel like I was heard. The actions that were supposed to be made didn't get taken care of on time. Since the day I filed a report, I feel everyone on the staff is looking for revenge because I came here. The day after I came here 2 weeks ago, me and my family had a meeting with the principal and Officer Francis. He was very dishonest and aggressive. He claimed that he said that I can call my mom when he had two other officers in the room with me, and forced me to sign a citizen's arrest. But if he offered for me to call my mom, I probably wouldn't be here today, and I probably wouldn't have signed anything. He stressed in front of Miss Osborne that I don't have to let you call your mom, and I can do whatever I want. And I feel that's an issue, and I feel like that should be fixed.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Next up, I believe this is Michelle Murphy.
My apologies for getting straight to the point, but I know I only have 3 minutes. I'm Michelle Murphy. I'm the parent of Miles Jalen Sadler. junior at Elk Grove High School. I am also the principal of Zinder Ranch Elementary School. I filed a uniform complaint with the district that was also given to the California Department of Education. The CDE agreed that the district failed to properly investigate my complaint of excessive force used by Officer Mark Francis at Cosumnes Oaks High School. The CDE also confirmed that the district was to provide me with what I requested: discipline data disproving my claim that African American males were disproportionately forced to interface with school police at Cosumnes Oaks High School under the leadership of Maria Osborne. In early March, Ms. Singh Allen expressed concern that students may still be in harm's way without policy related to discipline. And yes, students are still in harm's way. Misconceptions are being spread about African American males being involved with gangs in an effort to justify their mistreatment. Administrators at COHS still are able to refrain from contacting parents as they allow law enforcement officers access to students over things like stolen earbuds. Worse, parents are not able to get an investigation launched against an officer on our campuses because they are not district employees. So the district cannot investigate their actions against our students, nor will the district aid parents in investigating or filing a complaint against an officer. I filed a complaint against Officer Francis with the district and was told Elk Grove would not investigate, and I was given the name of a lieutenant. The lieutenant never followed through with the filing of the complaint. This I learned from SAC Sheriff. They never received anything about my case related to my son and the excessive force used by Officer Mark Francis when he lifted my son out of the seat, threw him across the vice principal's desk with the vice principal present and the vice principal confirming that he did this, and handcuffed him. Nothing was done, and Mark Francis remains at Cosumnes Oaks, along with the same administration. My asks are the same. Policy and regulations related to the sheriff we have brought to our schools, and a new ask that the district require our service provider, Sacramento Sheriff, to create an effective method for investigating the behavior of officers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Next, Allegra Taylor. Is Allegra Taylor here?
Good evening. Here we are again. How many more of our African American students have to be treated in such a manner that's unacceptable for your children to be treated until you finally do something? Why is it that we're allowing police officers to come on campuses and run the campuses like they're in charge? Why is it catered and tailored to our African American students? So, we shared with you guys some few months ago that we want you to hear us, and we feel like you're not taking us serious. So we've been training the villagers to prepare, and I'm just appalled that this young man here, Julian, and his mother is having to come and beg for something that they should have automatically gotten at the first request. I want to tell you about your district. I want to tell you about your schools and how you drop the ball when it comes to African American students and IEPs and 504s, and how you put the burden of responsibility back on the students and back on the parents, and how it's really just a matter of paperwork for you to say you did something. We're not going to sit back and just let you tell us you're going to do something and you're not. So what we're demanding from you is that you need to open up and make a way for us to come and help you, because we know it takes a village. So we want you to prepare a place for us to be on your campuses next year. If we can start this summer. We can plug in with the BSU department. Whatever it takes to make sure that our children are going to be taken care of, that's what we're expecting from you. Will you hear us when we start the campaign to not even start school next year, but to boycott? Will you hear us then? What is it going to take? Why do we have to come here and beg for what you give other students? Why? Why do we have to do that? Why would you take a student and have that student be terrorized by police officers without his parents present? Why would you not allow that student to not talk until his parent became present? These are not new tricks. Don't think we're stupid and we think that this just happened. No, we got Pleasant Grove. You got Cosumnes Oaks over and over and over again. What is it going to take? When are you guys going to listen? Do we have to get radical for you to hear us? Do we really have to start pulling our children out of your schools? I tell you what we're going to do. Until we get our clearances and until we're fully trained, the village is going to start encamping ourselves around and about your school campuses. We're going to be on the outsides of your schools so that you know that we're there, because we're here. Just because we're not here always making noise don't mean that we're not working towards a solution. We are solution oriented when it comes to our children. We are demanding that this district cut to the chase. Stop feeding us a bunch of BS and telling us all these little nice phrases of what you're going to do. We want to see some action. BYLP is in the house. The village, we're in the house. And we want to see some action, and we want to see it now. We want you to provide Julian and his mom everything they need to finish out the rest of this school semester. I'm prepared to come on campus tomorrow with Julian. You understand? Because this has got to stop. We're demanding that you guys do something. And this is our second demand. And just for the record, I'm a 3-striker.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Next up, Ms. Lorraine Pryor.
Miss Taylor, you want to get your phone.
Oh, Ms. Taylor, you forgot your phone.
Good evening once again. So I was actually one of the persons inside that room for the parent meeting with the SRO last week. And my observations, I did email those to your superintendent, and I think Miss Bobby got a copy too. What I observed is that you all had somebody in your schools that does not like children. You all had a person in your schools that was defiant, dishonest, didn't like to be challenged on his ideology. He told the mother, I don't have to call you. If you don't like the way I'm doing my job, take it up with the legislature, to which I replied, cool, because I work there. So who do I need to talk to? At this point, what I also noticed is that you all don't have any policies in place to how these officers are supposed to interact with children on these campuses. They are children. They are not criminals. They are not hardened criminals. This is not the yard. This is a school. We need policies in place. If you're going to have officers on these school campuses, we need policies in place that dictate the scope of their authority. Not only that, we need the school to have oversight over those officers, because it seems that there was an assumption that we could separate the action with Julian from what happened with the SRO, and they all happened on one campus. We will not be separating them, and that's what I told them. What I want to know is, 1, how are SROs selected? 2, what qualifications does one have to meet to become an SRO in your district? 3, What training do they undergo as it pertains to dealing with children? 4, how many complaints does an SRO have to get before he or she is relieved of their duties? 5, can SROs delineate between children and criminals, and are they one in the same? There is an obvious fear for our black students, especially our black boys, when it comes to dealing with law enforcement. And I want to know whether or not that is taken into account. We cannot assume that these children are going to respond as adults would. These are kids. They need to be able to call their mother. And if they don't call their mother, they need to be able to call me, because I'll show up. We don't have time to keep going on this hamster wheel when it comes to the development of these kids. They are in their formidable years. They are kind of getting the scope of what the world is about. And right now they feel traumatized and terrorized, and we need to stop it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pryor. Ms. Pryor, do you want to email us that list, or can we have that one? Thank you. We can make sure to get that back to you. Next up, Ms. Andrea Williams.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask about the PBIS tool. And I've been away for a couple of meetings. 6 children will do that to you. But last time that I came, the issue that's before us tonight, same issue. I think it's nice to have lots of policy, things written down, graphs, and that's all pretty, but it's not working. It's not gonna work because we're dealing with people. And the reality is, you can't change the hearts of people that teach our children. You can't do it. But we do have to address what's going on. I was thinking about the PBIS with the officers, since obviously they're there for behavioral issues. Are they trained on the PBIS model? Do they come into some type of understanding about what that's for? Because it is a culturally, competent model to address student behavior. What I heard tonight was just disheartening. I have 3 sons myself. One which is special needs, and I check my children's file frequently because I very concerned because I have children that are African American, and the reality is just real. I'm a realist, so I like to keep that before me. Also, in regards to the race and equity work that this district does, I wanted to know the group of individuals that you choose. How often does that cycle of interested community members and parents, how often are they, changed out so you can get some new ideas, let parents know that you want our input? I think that would be very good. I was just really floored by what I heard regarding this mother and her child and what they experienced. I'd also like to put forth a request. I'd like to request that there's a community panel to be instituted so we can have input on the officers that are assigned on our campuses. I too feel the same way. How can we take someone that's typically in the community policing and then bring them on campus without any training? So I just wanted to put those questions today, and you'll be seeing me continuously.
Mr. Superintendent, can we have someone get back to Ms. Williams on those issues? Okay. And you've provided your contact info, so thank you. Next up will be Mr. Josiah Greer.
Good evening. Thank you for an opportunity to talk to you again. I'm here just to come as a support. I know that I'm sure you all are well educated, so I don't have to give you an education, but for contextual purposes, I'm just going to kind of give a quick history lesson. During the Civil Rights Movement, there was a woman named Rosa Parks who was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white man. And that wasn't her first time being arrested for that incident. She also was not the first person to refuse her seat and get arrested for that same incident. There was a lady named Claudette Colvin. She also was arrested. Rosa Parks was arrested in December. Claudette was arrested in March. Right? The reason I'm bringing that up is because Julian isn't the first person to experience this incident. What's going on right now is we're giving you all an opportunity to create history. Are you going to allow Julian to be a Claudette, or are you going to allow him to be a Rosa Parks? If this was your child, what would you want? I understand that you have a lot on your plate as a board, but pretend like this was your child in that situation. Every day at Cosumnes Oaks High School, there's a student being harassed because they're black. And that's unacceptable. And then on top of that, how do we repair those students that have been harassed? Are we seeking help for those students? Are we seeking counseling for those students? Who's there to support them? If the staff and the faculty are not adequately prepared, then we need to provide someone that is. And this can't wait, because every day that we wait, another student has to suffer. And then we wonder why there's a school to prison pipeline. It's because they're being harassed at 14, 15, 16 years old, so then when they're 19, 20, and 21, one, they already have a record, and two, they already hate the police because they understand the way the police looks at them. If there's a police officer on that campus that doesn't respect them as an individual, as a human being, they shouldn't be on that campus. And it's your duty to do everything that you can to help that student, because we work for the students. The police work for us. So I urge you, please, if there's anything that you can do it with a sense of urgency. Do not let these young men and these young women suffering be Claudette, an unheard of hero. Allow history to look at you and say, you know what? In 2018, that board made a decision that changed all of our lives. As opposed to saying that board had an opportunity and they just didn't do anything. How will you be remembered as far as history is concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. Next up is Dominique Jones.
Now, I'm not one who's usually up for introductions because I like to focus on the message versus the messenger, but I want to give you context to the person that's speaking before you today. My name is Dominique Jones, and I'm an executive board member with the Black Youth Leadership Project, as well as a Capitol staffer in the California State Senate. First and foremost, I am here standing in solidarity with Julian and his mother. And I want to take a moment because I want all of you to look me in the eye. No longer will you be able to sit up at the dais and be complacent. We will not settle for head nods and lip service. This is my ultimatum to you all before you today. You know, education is the foundation of the American dream. You work hard enough, you learn, you study, you go to school, you get a great degree, you get a great job, you live the dream, correct? That's not true for black students who are terrorized on your campuses while you're still sitting here. Let's be honest. And so we're not going to play the game of we don't know and be complicit, because if you want to talk data and you want to talk statistics, I can definitely do that. Disparities continue to affect black students when it relates to suspensions. So like I said, you will no longer be able to pay lip service to us. And let me make it very clear. I speak politics, I speak policy. I work in the building that crafts the education code that governs this board. So if we want to talk that, I can talk it. I will not beg you all, nor will I plead. This is an ultimatum, like I said. I see the Senate resolution up there, so you're very familiar with the legislative process. You know, you have to do something, because like Mr. Greer said, Julian is not the first, and we will no longer accept anything less than prompt action and protection for our black students. Do you hear me? We will no longer accept anything less than prompt action and protection for our black students. And I just want to make a point, actually at the last board meeting when Julian and his mother were here, you know that SRO in question that we have concerns about? He was actually here in this meeting, sitting in the back, and followed them out of this meeting. When is that ever acceptable? So again, when you're ready to talk policy, let's talk. But if you're not going to do anything else than that, then we're done, and we'll see action. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Next up, Summer Thomas.
Good evening. I don't think I'm much of a stranger to you all. I came in solidarity, to stand in solidarity with the family and with the students at Cosumnes Oaks High School and throughout the Elk Grove Unified School District. I did not plan on speaking. I will say I have currently in Elk Grove Unified School District a 15-year-old black son, a 13-year-old black son, and a 10-year-old black son. I had my 15-year-old, he's about 6 feet 1, and when they were talking about OCI and suspensions and how our students are targeted, my 15-year-old, he's a freshman this year, and he was in 8th grade at Elizabeth Pinkerton last year. He came home, he was in a Spanish class, and he came home, he said, "Mommy, I don't like the class." I said, "Why?" He said, "The teacher doesn't keep control of our class." My son is honor roll student, kind of geeky, engineering is his interest. He throws hammer. He gentle giant. Every teacher he encounters says this about my son. He comes home, he said, "Mommy, I got OCI." 8th grade. I said, "Why?" "Well, she said I was talking." "Were you talking?" He said, "No." He said, "The girl asked me in my group a question regarding the work, and I tried to tell her, and everybody was talking like she had given a warning." I said, "Well, what did you do?" He said, "I was just trying to help her." So I called the teacher, and she said to me, "I know your son's a good son, a good student, but I had to make an example out of somebody." My black son. It happened to him. I can't remember the class. It was 2 weeks ago. The same thing happened. He got sent out of class. He does not get sent out of class. It's just not who he is. Now, my 13-year-old, maybe. But my 15-year-old, I know him. And he got sent out of class because people were talking, and they didn't see him do anything, but they said, "Well, I had to make an example out of somebody." So you got these white teachers out here making examples out of black students just for the sake of doing it, because they got to make an example out of somebody. That's unacceptable to me. You paint a picture of my son. That's my child. How dare you employ faculty that makes examples out of young black males for the sake of making examples of them? What if my son was truly affected by that? What if he didn't have me as a parent? The issue that I have, and I may run a couple seconds over, people come to me and say, "My son got suspended." Other parents have called and said, "Your son shouldn't be suspended because my son was at fault." They won't reverse anything. When I look up the code and the policies and procedures for the schools, when these parents call me, I look them up and I said, unfortunately, it's discretionary. Although your son didn't start it, although your son didn't initiate anything, because he engaged in mutual combat after someone threw food at him and hit him, he gets suspended for 3 days and gets kicked out of basketball for 6 weeks for defending himself. What can I do, Summer? You need to call a district. You need to talk to the principal. These are the things that you need to do. But when I look in the code and I look at the policies and procedures, it says that it's to the school's discretion. So what if this student already has this picture that the principal and an admin and the faculty have painted of this student? Then it becomes subjective. It's no longer objective. They've already painted this picture. There needs to be something in the policies and procedures and the way that you guys do things where it takes out that discretion. It should be district-wide. It shouldn't be at the discretion of someone who has already painted a picture of a student and can't see anything else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. So many of you have heard me say before, just a statement of what the law is, that we can't respond to you individually, we can't interact. I'm just going to share one note that I think may be of interest to folks in the audience today, and that is that the board is working on a board policy on roles and responsibilities pertaining to student discipline that does touch on just about every issue that you guys have highlighted. So we will very much welcome your review and input of that, and I believe it will be presented at our next board meeting, Mr. Superintendent. Our goal is at our next board meeting, check the agenda. That's our goal, that there will be a draft of that, and we will very much welcome your input. The plan is that it's up for discussion next time, not a vote, because we want to allow time for input. So, with that, thank you folks for coming out.
Can they have a rough draft now?
It doesn't exist yet. It's in legal review. So, all right. Thank you, folks. Next up, we have consent agenda.
I'd like to move to pass consent agenda items 1 through 26.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Seconded by Mr. Madison. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Measure passes. I believe that was unanimous. Next item is the update on progress report on race and educational equity, which will be presented by Ms. Pinkerton. I hope I didn't steal your thunder there.
Great intro.
Sorry. We'll call it an intro.
Good evening, Board President, Ms. Nancy Chires Espinosa, members of the Board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. This evening I will be providing the Race and Educational Equity Update. I'll also put it up on the overhead so So this particular update is structured to show the 6 emerging strategies that had come out of the original board community meeting that had happened back in January. So I'll be going over those 6 emerging strategies, the first one being professional learning development, then curriculum instruction, followed by school and community relationships, student-centered supports, opportunity access, and then recruitment, hiring, and retention. Under professional learning and development, currently, the Office of Educational Equity and the Curriculum and Professional Learning Department have partnered with the Association of California School Administrators to bring an ACSA, which is the Association of California School Administrators, Academy to the Elk Grove Unified School District. And those academies cover some pretty big themes that have also been addressed here this evening or have been brought up. Those themes include awareness of inequities, examination of biases and beliefs, building common language around equity, building a common understanding of the role of race, culture, power, establishing equity mindsets, interrupting patterns of inequity, applying ethical actions, and engaging in reflective practices. This academy is presented to all of our administrators here within the Unified School District, and the dates they'll be starting, the equity leaders, which will be held here at Elk Grove Unified, will begin in September, October, November, January, February, March, and April through to next year. And it'll be presented by directors Toby Scruggs and Nicole Anderson. Also, under professional learning development, the Elk Grove Unified School District Board, well, the board, did schedule an ad hoc meeting that was held on May 11th, and that meeting was specifically designed to review a new policy that will outline the roles and responsibilities of school and/or district administrators and that of law enforcement related to student discipline, which is what you were referring to. Under curriculum and instruction, district staff did meet with local higher education representatives and local community advocates in April on the 24th to discuss the topic of ethnic studies curriculum, and I understand that there will be a follow-up meeting to that meeting, which I'll report out on. Under school and community relationships, tonight you'll be hearing from Ms. Lisa Lavasser, who will be giving a presentation on the Office of Family and Community Engagement. Under student-centered supports, I wanted to highlight, there's actually two parts. I'll go to the opportunity and access part. So in connection with student-centered supports, Elk Grove Unified was highlighted in a report recently published by the Opportunity Institute called Process and Protest: California, How Are Districts Engaging Stakeholders in LCAP Development? And this is what the report looks like. It's called Process and Protest. And in this report, Elk Grove Unified was selected because of its positive work with our communities and featured in Section 1, which was titled Representation, which is Reach the Unreached, Prioritizing Needs, Participation, and Leadership of Communities that have historically been marginalized and underserved by political decision-making processes. So in conjunction with that, under student-centered supports, the Office of Equity attended, in fact, it was attended by Dr. Lowry, attended the K through 12 Water Cooler Network event, which focused on LCAP engagement, which is the LCAP Local Control Accountability Plan, engagement as a path to equity and living into equity. Lastly, under recruitment, hiring, and retention, the Human Resources Department did post the Recruitment and People Development Framework that was asked to be published under the Race and Educational Equity webpage, so that's there now. And then lastly, Elk Grove Unified, we continue to use diverse channels to promote job openings. We currently have, I believe, 5 administrative positions open. I believe there's 2 assistant superintendent positions that are open, and there are 2 director level positions open, and then there's also a principal position that is open. And we have reached out to the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, and we've also reached out to California Association of African American Superintendents and Administrators. That's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Pinkerton. Colleagues, any questions, comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the report. A few questions. Let's see how to manage this. So let's start with professional learning development. I am encouraged that, and I understand there was 3 board members that are responsible for the creation of the board policy as it relates to district administrators and law enforcement related to student discipline. This particular area I've mentioned on probably almost every progress report. This is very, very important to me. I'm a mother at Cosumnes Oaks High School. I get those calls, I get those emails. So when I stated several times, our students being harmed in real time, I know the answer to this. So what this ultimately looks like, I definitely want several eyes and ears to review this, to make sure that we are doing right by our students. So what that policy looks like is going to be important, but the enforcement of the policy and making sure that it's realized. But I still want to balance that with, until this is actually adopted, my fear is ongoing problems that can occur and do occur, not just at one site, but conceivably at others as well. So, you know, how are we managing in a real way, in a substantive way, present concerns, addressing them in real time? And I know you're not going to have the answer to that, but I just want to, because it's related to this, that this still worries me, that as we are working through race and educational equity, that we're not hurting anybody along the way. I'm a mom, and it's heartbreaking. The other portion of this, and it's related in here, and I'm just going to make the nexus whether one exists or not, because I just want to put it on the table, that our contract with the Sheriff's Department is a contract. And my expectation as one board member, when we have contracts like this, it will be tied here to professional and learning development. I absolutely expect law enforcement to have a positive relationship with our students because they are children. They're not guarding a prison, they're guarding a school. And I've stated previously that this is often the first introduction to law enforcement for a lot of students. And if we can shape those minds in a positive way, where you have officers greeting our children, high-fiving them, good morning, and welcoming them as part of the welcoming environment, they are critical, a component to that. So as we develop these processes, my expectation is to have that expectation and demand that anybody that has contact with our children has the requisite training so that we have the right people interacting with our students. Very, very important. So the Arbinger Institute, the professional development that we're doing with that, PBIS, all of that. We've got great programs, but those that come into contact with our children on a daily basis, they need to have that same training. So I will continue to make those recommendations through other parts of as we do budget allocations and so forth, but it is very much tied into professional and learning development, particularly as it relates to law enforcement, excessive use of force, and things of that nature. So that professional development, I'm going to ask that we start exploring, at least that's one of my areas of interest, of making sure that SROs have the training and the right people are there, because at the end of the day, these are not employees, we contract with them. So as we contract that with them, we get to hold what we expect out and make those conditions to interacting with our school district. If we expect that of our teachers and our principals, I definitely expect it more so of law enforcement. So that's a very important area for me. Let's see. I would definitely be interested in the follow-up that you're going to have with the Ethnic Studies group. I've met with the president at Florin High School, Mr. Gonzalez, and I couldn't attend that first meeting, but I definitely have an interest in participating if available. So if you can at least let the board know when that meeting happens, so that maybe, I know I'm interested, but maybe others without breaking Brown Act issues might be interested as well, because that's definitely of interest to me. Let's see. Other questions? Okay, so this is also as it relates to school and community relationships. Not a bullet that's highlighted here, but it's been addressed several times, particularly at the very first meeting. How are we managing the parents who want to interact with our students, who want to volunteer? I want to see folks like Ms. Allegra on campus, who is gracious with her time. What have we done? What is the process? I haven't had an update on that per se. So what are we doing? What do they need so that they can volunteer? So that if we are going to have these campuses that are welcoming and welcoming environment, then absolutely that is a major component of it. Is volunteers who want to be there to help, let them be there. As it relates to school and community relationships, that's an area of interest as well. That's all I have for this part, and the rest I have for Ms. Lavasser. Thank you.
So I'd like to thank you for the report. Just had a couple comments since I was one of the board members that was participated in the committee for the policy. And so there were a lot of questions and discussion that we asked amongst each other, and trying to make sure we're really getting the parent perspective as well, and put it in the policy regarding discipline and students and law enforcement. And so I know there's much more work. There was only a couple of us, and we came up with different scenarios and different questions regarding the policy, and that's why the superintendent had to take some of it back to legal counsel. And so we want to hear the input and feedback. I could just say that for myself and my colleagues regarding that policy, to make sure that we have a lot of input on that. And we recognize others on this board that also have valuable feedback for us for the policy. So I'm looking forward to bringing that forth again at the next upcoming meeting. One of my other questions that I have is, I know in the previous meetings we discussed the new IT system for incident reporting. So I was curious, because I know they said they might have found a way regarding the IP address, if that report would be brought back to us soon. You know, it falls along the lines of that we are hearing concerns of incidents happening on campuses, and I think that's just another tool for us to resource or to have available for students or for parents to be able to document that incident. So if we can get a report of where we are, follow up with that as well, I think it's very important.
Okay, thank you.
I have one recommendation, and this is to the board here. We need to put in this statement here, school climate and parent engagement. Add that to this report.
What report?
This report. We need school climate and parent engagement. How are we going to engage these parents who not only coming from Cosumnes Oaks, it's happening in Pleasant Grove High School. And it looks like it's progressing to get worse. These issues of these officer or SOAR board members in our student body. And why I say that, school climate, because we receive monies from local control funding formula. And if those school climate is no good, within their LCAP, local control application program, they are supposed to put, and the parents are supposed to put, what can we do to improve school climate at every school in our district? So that's my solution to school climate and these issues that are going and progressively getting worse. I think maybe we need to have a meeting tomorrow, emergency meeting, to deal with these issues. So anyway, school climate, parent engagement is very important that you get involved at every school, because that is tied with funding. If the school climate is no good at that school, how do you improve it? You put it in the LCAP, LCAP, to make that school climate better. And you put it in writing, you put timetables to that. We have to review those. Now, it looks like to me, some of these schools need some more attention. And we as a board need to sit down to resolve this issue ASAP. ASAP, like tomorrow. I don't want to get too emotional. But yeah, this is an issue that definitely needs immediate attention. And the only way I can see it is through funding. If you don't provide services to our schools in the right manner, you cut off funding. And we don't want that. We don't want that. We want schools that are 100% student friendly, academic objectives that meet our community needs, that need to get rid of that disparity of academic issues that we have in the school district. That's what the LCAFF is all about, but let's get down to business.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Thank you for the report.
I do have one thing, as we talk about volunteering and opportunities to get on campus, which I think is a very exciting idea and an excellent idea. And I have spoken to some BSU leaders, and I believe our high schools are set up there already. There are some spots there, and I think there's room for growth there and a safe place for our children on campus that will be positive. So I hope we continue to look into that and encourage our parents to have discussions with those people that are there on campus already as well. Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Madison?
Yeah, I don't have any really questions. I also want to mention I'm part of that ad hoc committee as well. It's very interesting to sit down and try to craft something that's viable, something that's good for our students and our parents, and also looking under the legal frame of policing. Just to comment too on the contract, I'm a believer also that I think we as a district set the tone for our SROs, and I think we have that responsibility of what our expectations are and what kind of tone we set on these campuses. As one board member, I was here when we initiated the SROs some 14 years ago probably. And the purpose is to keep our campuses safe. That's the number one priority. And the second thing, and when we have an officer on there, he should be friendly with the kids. He or she should know them. I'm a proponent, perhaps when we have them there too long, it's not good. Perhaps we need to rotate them and get them out so they can get a really good view of our district and what our culture is. But again, we, our staff and this board, we should set the tone of our expectations of what we want out of the SROs. And believe me, we don't want a Columbine out here. We don't want something that's going to hurt our children come on campuses. And I go back as far as where we didn't have gates all around our schools. Every one of our schools, they are gated. You cannot walk in on our campuses. When my kids went to school, there was no gates. But we live in a different world now, and it's something that we really have to pay attention to. So again, I stress when we look at our board policies, what we're coming out with, we put a lot of time into it. We'll dissect it, go back over it again to make certain that we're doing the right thing and moving forward. But I stress we still want a very safe campus in all of our schools. Thank you.
Mr. Fortuna, anything? No questions, comments? Okay, I'll be very brief. Thank you for the update. I'm glad some of this related to some of the comments we heard previously. I am interested in facilitating the volunteer pipeline. So we know already that there's a pathway, but what can we do to streamline or publicize that? Particularly to community members who may not be tied to a school campus right now. So how do we make better use of the talent in the community? That's something I'm interested in. I'm also interested in making better use of the LCAP as a vehicle to address these issues. So I know that Ms. Lavasser is going to be talking about parent-family engagement, but since it falls in a different office under a different person, I want to make sure that we are at least having those conversations about, so the LCAP is a district plan, but there is a site-level plan for each school that feeds into that, right? And there is an opportunity for a site-level meeting to talk about all of the goals of the LCAP, which include parental engagement and school climate. So I hope we are talking, those in the FACE office and doing the equity work and doing the LCAP work are talking to each other about how to inform these efforts and how to use the LCAP to inform the equity work in particular. I am the third person who was part of that ad hoc committee on the board policy. I'm actually pleased that almost all of the issues that came up today are issues that we sought to address in our meeting. That was just a few of us at the table. There are going to be more ideas when the draft comes back and when community members provide their input. So I'm optimistic that we're going to get a good result. I heard both today that we need policies, and I heard that, you know, words on paper are just word on paper, and I think both of those are right. The importance of this board policy is that we need to provide, as a board, as a governing board of this district, a standard by which we are all going to hold ourselves. It is the start of the conversation. By no means is it the end, but that is the part of the responsibility that we need to provide, that should have been in place, and going forward will be. So we look forward to continued input from the community on that to make sure we get a better result. And with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, I believe we have Ms. Lavasser, and I don't have that page in front of me. You are giving us part 2 of the update. This is the educational equity update, creating welcoming school environments.
That's correct.
Thank
Good
you, Ms.
evening.
Larson.
Good evening, everybody. Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Hoffman and Ms. Avalos. The purpose of this particular presentation tonight is to provide information on the work of the Office of Family and Community Engagement that supports the implementation of the Elk Grove Unified School District's Educational Equity Strategic Plan. So Lisa, who is known to you very well, will share how this work's been happening in our school offices and also even in the homes of our students and families. So we're finding the presentation right now. There we go. And I will introduce Ms. Lavasser.
Thank you, Ms. Larson.
Good evening, Board President Chairs Espinoza, school board members, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Thank you so much for allowing me to present tonight. I'm excited to tell you about the great work that our office is doing with our families in the community. Thank you. So I just wanted to start with reminding everyone about our district learning system and how the Office of Family and Community Engagement is collaborating with all of these various key educational components. Every decision that we make directly aligns with all of these different components. As mentioned earlier, the Office of Family and Community Engagement, family and community engagement in general, is part of our strategic plan. It is in fact goal 4 in the LCAP, and it reads, all students will benefit from programs and services designed to inform and involve family and community partners. This is what our office sets out to do every day, and every program that we bring to the district, and every decision we make. And as you might remember from my last year's presentation, this office is just a little bit over 2 years old. We're in our, I like to say, our toddler phase. We created our framework as our foundation in order to start this work. And I just wanted to remind you of our pillars. And again, everything starts in our work with the relational pillar. If we are not in relationship with our families, with our schools, with our students, with our teachers, everyone that works at a school site in the district, then we are not doing our job. The goal of the FACE office is to promote inclusion and partnerships to ensure equity for all families and expand on and create new opportunities for our schools and our families. So a little over a month ago, Sandra Lowry presented on the strategic plan for the Educational Equity Strategic Plan. And in that plan is Foundation 5, School, Family, and Community Relationships. I was a member of the Educational Equity Strategic Plan, and I am very proud of the work this committee did, especially when it comes to addressing Foundation 5. As the FACE office was created and new programs have been developed, or we are starting to expand on current programs that we brought in last year, we always ask ourselves the following question. Are the families of Elk Grove Unified School District getting what they need when they need it? If we can answer yes to this, then we are doing our job, then we have equitable practices. If we answer no to this, then we have work to do. So I'd like to present to you tonight a few examples of how we've begun this work. Remember, this is just the beginning. In the, under Foundation 5, in the Educational Equity Strategic Plan, Goal 1 states, improve stakeholder communication, engagement, and relationships. So a couple of initiatives that we have started over the past year that have to do with families in the community are the following. Actually, in the past 2 years, we have presented at the Power of One conference. Our focus each time has been on working, creating better partnerships with our families and creating welcoming environments. This past year, we started working with our elementary vice principals on helping them to reflect on if their campus was a welcoming place. Based on national research, we comprised 4 indicators for our vice principals to take back to their site and begin to examine if their campus is a welcoming place. Those indicators are school-wide practices and policies, welcoming school staff, the physical environment, and written materials. We've taken this checklist and we met every other month with our vice principals to examine these indicators and to provide strategies on how they could improve. We have 63,000 plus students, and every single one of those students goes home to a family, which is about 40,000 plus families. Every student goes home to a different home. Every student and family has a different experience, and it is up to us as the people that are serving these students and these families to make sure that they feel welcomed on our campus. Some other examples of Goal 1, to improve stakeholder communication, engagement, and relationships. We have begun to provide professional development to our beginning teachers. Last year we mentioned that 78% of the educators and principals and classified staff that we surveyed had never received any professional development on family engagement. It's not offered in credential programs. So we are working on that. We're starting with beginning teachers in our district. We are also working with our bilingual teaching associates or assistants, providing professional development to them every other month. They are learning new strategies on how to communicate with their families and partner with their families. We're working with librarians in our school district, the elementary front office staff. We did a presentation to our special ed cohort that's comprised of our paras in our district. But one thing that I want to kind of spend just a few minutes on was this idea under increased communication. I was at Sierra Enterprise one day with English Learner Support, or English Learner Services, Will, from their department. And we were brainstorming ideas with the principal and the office staff on how we can make sure the families that come through the office get heard. The principal and front office staff were concerned because parents were coming in, not speaking English, and they felt like their concerns weren't being answered right away. So we started brainstorming ideas. What could we do? How could we solve this problem? So we came up with a common questions binder. We started brainstorming topics. What do parents ask when they come to the front office? What are some of the common questions? So we brainstormed a bunch of topics like registration, enrollment, setting up an appointment with a teacher or the principal. Then we took all of those questions and we translated them into every single language that a student speaks on that campus. So now, when the families come into the office, there's a binder. It's like this. And there is, all the questions are translated into their language. I know it isn't perfect. It only gets them so far, but at least it gets them the next step. The office staff and the principal have reported back to us that this has been extremely positive and impactful on their campus. Families are not leaving frustrated anymore. When good things happen, word gets out and principals ask that they would like this. So now we are making one of these for every single elementary school that will be on their campus starting in July or August, depending on when they start. Then we are piloting this in the secondary world, because we know our families that come to middle and high schools have different questions. So we want to make sure that their questions and they can somehow get some answers heard as well. As you may remember from last year, we started this strategy of parent-teacher home visits. I believe that this type of home visit, the positive relationship-building home visit, is Arbinger in its purest form. Sitting down together, seeing each other as human beings, not as obstacles, not as challenges, but listening to each other. When a teacher is in a student's home and they talk to the family about the hope and dream of that child and the interests, it changes everything back in the classroom and back on the campus. Research indicates when a student knows there is a trusted adult on their campus that cares about them, students succeed at a higher rate and outcomes improve. So far, we have trained 500, that's actually 508 was our old number, about 2 weeks ago. We have now trained 544 employees on our campus. We have conducted, I looked it up today, 489 home visits. Then goal 2, under the Educational Equity Strategic Plan, it states increase family education opportunities. Here are some examples of what we've done: family writing nights, informational nights. We've increased and expanded our family and staff wellness series. We've listened to our families and our staff and have responded to their needs about different topics. We realize once relationships and trust are built, the bridge has been built, families begin to feel welcome on our campus. And then, once that happens, they start to come to these family education opportunities. A new workshop that we created this year was called Early Family Literacy Workshops. I was extremely fortunate to be able to hire one person this year. She's in the back. Wave, Miss Lopez. She is an amazing teacher, phenomenal teacher, and we are lucky that our district was able to get her over here. She has helped create these workshops because we know, again, the research states if kids aren't reading at grade level by 3rd grade, the trajectory of them graduating high school goes down, of them going to college goes down, the pathway to prison goes up. So our principals in elementary have asked that their families wanted help on how to help their child at home with reading fluency. So we created these workshops. Those are the topics you see. It's a 5-part series. They start with a read aloud, letter recognition to letter sounds, high frequency words, and writing. The beauty of this model is we provide the activity. Nancy, Miss Lopez, models the activity. The parents that come get to practice it, and then they get to ask questions about how they can do this at home. They set goals of how many times they're going to do this with their child, and then they go home and practice. And then 2-3 weeks later, they come back and talk about what worked, what didn't work, they get new strategies, they go on to the next topic. All of these workshops are translated. We provide translation. We work closely with ELS. All of these meetings provide childcare. So our families, we want to break down any barrier possible for our families. They're set sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening. Depends on when the school site requests it. We've done this at 4 schools. And again, just like the Common Questions binder, people are asking that they want this next year. So we're looking to expand that as well. I'd like to leave or end with this slide by just reading you a quick feedback we received about this program. Through the program, our families in particular, our Spanish-speaking families, now feel like they have a voice. They appreciated being able to be taught, share, and learn comfortably in their native language. In doing so, the class was one that focused on education definitely, but unification absolutely. Parents have made comments to their child's teacher that they are using these strategies learned from these classes with their children at home. This is no doubt will lead to higher academic success for some families and may break the cycle that high school is the highest level of education that can be attained. College becomes accessible, attainable, and achievable. Finally, we, as I said earlier, align our work with the Office of Educational Equity Strategic Plan. Everything we do, we think of, is it good for our families? What do they need, and when do they need it? Our goal is to continue building relationships with our community partners. We have met with numerous community advocates, community partners, businesses, churches. We will continue to expand the education work, the home visit program. Our goal is to continue. We just started with the beginning stages of creating welcoming environments. We'd like to continue that. And one thing that I'd like to end on is, out of the comments that came from the different community forums that we had in the winter in January, I was at all of them. Several parents came up to me and asked if our office would be willing to start a family leadership academy. Absolutely, 100%. So we are piloting that program next year, where we will invite families from all over the district to meet with us on a regular basis to make sure that we are working together and advocating for our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments from the board? I'll look to my right this time. Anything? Mr. Fortuna is gathering his thoughts.
Thank you for being with us. Just a quick comment with respect to all the work you're doing. That Common Questions binder is fantastic. I mean, that's a smart move because it just collates all of the presumed questions that would be asked, and it gives you a one-stop kind of an opportunity. So thank you. You know, since you and your office has been in place, you have worked towards the provision of providing additional opportunities for parents, and I appreciate that. I think as a district, we do provide the opportunities, and too often, unfortunately, parents don't take the opportunity to partake of the opportunities that staff has provided for them in terms of learning how they can work with their own kids, and I know that's frustrating, and that's something that you're attuned to in terms of exploring ways to encourage the participation. It's just like volunteers. We have volunteers on all of our campuses in all facets of program. We recognize them here every board meeting for Pledge of Allegiance, and those are people who are volunteer on site. So the opportunities are there, you know, I look at our responsibility is to look at ways of encouraging people to participate in the schools and the activities available, because there's a multitude of those activities. And the training you've been providing is good. And I know that you're not in policing, but do you ever do independent observations of schools? And the reason why I ask you the question, you know, Superintendent Cherry and I have shared a wonderful book on school climate and culture. I have been to every school in the district. Some are very warm and fuzzy. Others are kind of like cold and not welcoming. So it's great that you have brought in the vice principals and done this training. But see, I put that in the same category as Arbinger. Is Arbinger training good? Yeah, it's really, really good. If we don't go out to see if it's being implemented, it's worth nothing. And I'm not saying that your training is worth nothing on school climate and culture, but without observation with respect to how it's being implemented, then I question value. So, you know, do you do that?
So I don't feel I am very effective at my job if I am in this building all day long. So yes, I am out at as many school sites as possible. I have visited almost every single one, I think, except for our 2 new ones. And that's just because my job has expanded. But I will get there, promise. One of the things that I love to do when I go out to school sites is get there early and sit in the front office and observe. And then, as I'm meeting with whoever I am meeting with, provide my feedback. And our office is an office that is willing to work with anyone who is ready.
Very good. And you know, I think all of us were excited about parent involvement. My daughter's involved at CAMS, in parent involvement project. Yeah, because that's where it begins. Do you, and in terms of the work you do you work with the Head Start people?
Actually, yes. We, in regards to, we have sat down and met about what kind of family engagement they do, and have kind of listened and learned from each other, but we don't directly work with them or do trainings with them.
Okay, thank you.
Really nice report, Lisa. Appreciate it. It's very good. I just want a few comments. That I'm excited about is the beginning new teachers that you recognize and that they do need training. I'm also very disappointed that our credentialing program in the state of California is not very good. I mean, we do have a shortage of teachers, but we're still not producing teachers that truly understand the diversity of the state. I mean, we've got roughly 78% of our teachers are white. And you go to our schools, any schools, the diversity is tremendous. And some of them, a great majority of them, have never engaged with half of those students at all. And I'm saying that because I think they deliver the curriculum and the touch to these kids and the feel. And I just think it's imperative we look at the professional development part of it and that they understand what they're faced with on that. And the other part I wanted to make, as Fortuna mentioned, about different campuses, different climate. And obviously I've been in all of our schools. I've been around a while. And yeah, you can come in from the office, from being receptive to people are rude or they're not very congenial. And I think that starts at the leadership, and it goes back to our principals setting the tone of what that campus, what that facility is all about. So I don't want to make sure we don't leave them out. You know, we look at our home visits we're doing and so forth, but oftentimes they're not engaged, the principal, he or she are gone, or they rely on their VPs or teachers in charge. They need to be involved. They are the CEOs of their organization. Thank you.
Thank you for a great report. I agree wholeheartedly with Chet's. I think it's very exciting as we make part of our professional development, teaching this to our teachers. I don't think you rarely meet a teacher. I think you have to look for a teacher that doesn't want success for children, and so when we can give them the tools to be successful, it is helpful. I don't think I've ever met a parent that doesn't want success for their child. So giving them those tools, when I read about Finland having this incredible education system, they call you on Monday night and said, have you read to your child tonight? We often will call and say, have you gone to get pizza? So it raises us, $2. So shifting the thought to empowering them and bringing them into part of the process. I think it's when we talked about standards-based report cards, if we let our parents know what we're trying to do and we're on the same team, we're going to get there so much faster. I just think there's exciting things ahead. I appreciate your work.
Very good report. We're going someplace. I think you're on the right track. And I think I said this before, like, parenting is like on-the-job training. We go driver's training, we go to class and take an exam, then we could drive. But parenting, you could just get a license without going to class, and boom. Or sometimes it's not even planned. Even early childhood development issues, prenatal care, and all that, it's not there. Indicators. You mentioned 5 indicators. Can you say that? Those 5 indicators for goal 1, and that's how you judge, or it's your tool.
So the Welcoming Schools checklist that we created is based on a national model and some national research on family engagement and welcoming schools. And there's four indicators. We have our folks examine school-wide practices and policies, and there's a plethora of questions on that. Welcoming school staff, again, a plethora of questions. Physical environment, and then written materials.
Right there in the class, in the entryway, when you in the front office?
All over the school site.
All over that, okay. And you mentioned you're providing training. Is that in-house training? Are we using staff in-house, or have we contracted out outside to provide this training?
Most of the training comes from our office and other partners in our district. In the beginning, for the home visits, we contracted out with the national nonprofit. However, we are now creating our own training team based on teachers and counselors and classified staff that have been actively doing visits. They are now going to they train the trainers, and they're going to become their own training team.
Have you ever explored of other organizations that do this, specialize in parent involvement or parent engagement, and may consider doing that? The reason why I'm saying that, because the May revise, we're going to have a lot of money coming up in August. We're going to be and this
we just
and a lot of people, we had a lot of reserves, and you need to put pressure on us. Get those parents up here over here in the gallery and say, hey, we like this program. We like to implement it district-wide. It's a model program. And by the way, I mentioned this before. I attended a school there in Santa Rosa Unified School District, Abraham Lincoln Elementary. They have an excellent program like this, how they present and engage parents into the school system very early, pre-kindergarten. That's when it starts, right there in the summertime. Okay. And your comment, your book, would you consider putting that on the website? Also, those questions?
Binder.
Oh, yeah, their binder, yes. You plan to do that?
We have not thought about that, but I am not opposed to it. We also are looking at creating one for the front when you first walk into our district office.
Oh, very good. Excellent. I advise you to do that. I support it. If you need some funding, let me know.
He's got money. Yeah. Tony's writing checks.
IOUs. And I'm a big believer of home visits. I remember when I went my teacher corps program, we had to do that. And I learned a lot about students and their atmosphere, where they came from, with the community and linguistic, cultural issues and all that. You learn a lot just visiting at home. And goal number 2, increase facility education opportunities. You mentioned that, that's going very good. But I was wondering, at these schools, and I've seen some model schools where they actually have adult education ESL classes there. Do you consider having those also? For the
We have, yes.
You do-
Our adult ed offers numerous ESL classes at the school site. At
Okay,
lots of
very
our
good.
schools.
And would you suggest expanding those within our school district?
If it is
Is
needed.
if it's needed? Okay. And again, you're absolutely right. Reading and literacy at the 3rd grade is an indicator of the prison pipeline. Keep up the good work and use that as an indicator. And funding. What type of funding needs do you need?
That's really doesn't pertain to the report that we're having today.
I'm serious. I don't want to know.
Right, but
I
we just
support-
had a special meeting on budget earlier,
Exactly,
so that would
but
be
I want to
when
hear
we
it
should
from
have
our
talked about
staff.
that.
I want to hear it from our staff. There's some staff they're
Don't
not,
leave it there.
unless you give them the opportunity to come out and ask them, they won't tell you.
By all means, I'm sure the FACE office and Ms. Larson have a way to tell us internally when we're developing the budget what their resource needs are, so.
Yes.
Anything you want to add to that?
No,
All right.
well, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
I would just like to thank you for your report and for updating us. I think family and community engagement is really crucial. Of course, we want to definitely have welcoming environments for our families, our students, our parents. So the more feedback and input we can get from the parents, I think is critical as well. And I, along as my colleagues as well, when they state the fact that our credentialing program doesn't have school climate, ingrained in that or culture, it's really important now in this day and age, especially with all the populations, and we're such a diverse school district. I think that is really critical ways to welcome and ways that our students can feel that sense of belonging and our families feel that it's safe there for them to come to this campus. And so, again, I encourage the work that you do. I'm excited to see what the pilot leadership program will be for the families and the outcome of that. And also thinking maybe outside the box for the future, ways that we could create a welcoming environment with maybe even our campus supervisors, our SROs, some of what we discussed tonight. I think there's other outreach venues that we have there and resources that we can pull them in to these types of training to say, this is really crucial for our families to feel safe here and invite them in to create that safe environment with us. So because they're such an important stakeholder too, and being able to provide that positive influence there for our students and our families that's needed. So thank you.
Ms. Lavasser, hi. First and foremost, I'm a huge fan of your work. From the first time I met you in Sacramento when you worked somewhere else, it was a great presentation that I attended with Ms. Maggie Ellis at the time, so I'm so glad that you're here with us. And watching the program grow, it's been remarkable. Colleagues, as you recall, Ms. Lavasser and I had the honor to present at CSBA during our annual conference. And it was quite remarkable learning how many districts don't have such a in-house and dedication to the Office of Family and Community Engagement. This is quite unique to us. There's a few districts that have a dedicated office, but not a lot of them. So, I'm very happy that we were able to think outside the box and invest in this. So just at least, I know the answer, but for purposes of conversation, for some folks that might be here this evening, most of the work right now is focused in elementary ed, correct? Or no? Based on?
No, I would say it started there, but it is expanding to secondary.
It's expanding. Yes. Okay. And the reason I bring that up because all campuses are very different, very unique, and some are very welcoming. Then you have some where middle, and then you have some that are just really don't want to go there. I see the biggest discrepancy, I would say more so from elementary and secondary, from my observations. And some of that will be really have how the staff, even SROs, as Ms. Martinez-O'Leary mentioned as well. So I'm encouraged to hear that you work very closely with the Office of Equity as well, because I don't think you can separate the two. In creating welcoming environments, we have some very unwelcoming environments. So as we are building something, I want to be mindful that we have work to do, because you're saying that we are focusing on secondary as well. That there are good models, and then there are some not so good models, and then probably some stuff in between. So, you know, as we expand, particularly within secondary, that's very important, at least to me, because that's where I've seen the greatest discrepancy of welcoming versus unwelcoming. Other questions, let's see. So in terms of getting more into the work of the secondary ed, is that more of a recent development, last several months, or 6 months, a year?
Well, all of the work that we've done with the BTAs, they're at all of, various school sites, K-12, beginning the new teachers, K-12, our special ed, K-12, so it's home visits, K-12. We have several,
Secondary as well?
yeah, we have several secondary schools.
Okay, that's good to
All
know.
of the Title I secondary schools are participating.
Okay, that's great to hear. Let's see, on page 5. Okay, and this really relates to when I was talking about the discrepancy. As we are expanding our focus in secondary, we have a great goal here, but I can tell you that some schools are not welcoming. So if we have a definition, if we have a goal, then I want us to sincerely work towards that goal, and I have strong faith in the work that you do in breaking down barriers. I know that you're very effective at that, and sincere when you're out in the field. You have a great legacy out there with the feedback that people are providing. Next question would be expanding. You're talking about an academy here, Family Leadership Academy. Do you see this as a pipeline of volunteers similar to we have folks that want to volunteer? Will you be reaching out to them?
Absolutely.
Bringing them to be part of this?
Yes.
Okay. I hear, because I see Ms. Allegra. She's ready. Okay, I think that's all I have that was not already answered, but excellent report. I look forward to seeing updates from this office.
Thank you.
I think you do great work, so thank you. Okay.
Excellent. So, thank you very much. Appreciate the update. I particularly appreciate your commitment to adapting your work as we learn more about the needs of our students and our families, particularly this past year. So, much appreciated. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what the Family Leadership Academy and the Newcomers Academy will entail?
So the Family Leadership Academy, we are going to work with Clotilde Heron, who was part of the Success Pathways Success program that was partnering with Dr. Fortune and CAP. And so she has done some work in Twin Rivers on working with families and helping them to understand the LCAP, helping them to understand how they can volunteer on campus. Just different ways to have the families engage back at the school site. So that is our goal. We are in the process right now of creating that agenda and what that would look like and how we will reach out to schools and families to invite them to come. The Newcomers Academy is brand new. heard, we received the Cal New grant. That is a grant that will support our students and families that are new to this country, especially special focus on our refugee families and our SIVs, special immigrant visas. And so we are going to be creating an academy where they will learn how to navigate the system, learn how to be in a school in the United States. So we'll be working with students, teachers, and their parents.
Sure.
When you say we visit schools and families, who's the we?
That would be myself and Miss Lopez and Miss Percoats, our administrative assistant.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your update. Next up, bargaining units. Is there anyone wishing to address the board? Someone's being voluntold. Come on up.
I'm short and sweet. So good evening, board members. I'm Tina Kute, a proud and active member of CSEA. And I'm here tonight to thank the board for passing a resolution to acknowledge our Classified Employees Week. So that will be, the party begins May 20th through the 26th. So you've got a lot of happy paraeducators and health aides that are very excited, and we are honored for that recognition that you've given to us. And just an update on our chapter, we have 6 new members over the weekend at our annual picnic that are now union stewards. And so you'll see us strutting around with our new jackets on, and we're proud to go through that training and be able to represent our paraeducators and health aides. And we also just want you to know, and we do have to brag, Elk Grove Chapter 831 had the highest number of new members in all of Northern California. And so we received a plaque over the weekend. In fact, Martha Henry has it right now. But next time we'll have to bring it so I can show you guys. So we are excited and we're very proud to represent Elk Grove Unified School District and our community.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Next item will be presented by Mr. David Riley, the resolution to eliminate a classified position.
Good evening, members of the board, President Charles Espinosa, Superintendent Hoffman, Salvos. The board is asked to adopt resolution number 80 for school year 2018-19, authorizing the governing board to eliminate a classified position. The board is asked to adopt the attached resolution to eliminate a classified position pursuant to Education Code sections 45114, 45298, 45308, and 45117. And just a side note, this is just part of a reorg in our payroll department, so it is a vacant position right now. It doesn't affect an individual, and it's going to free up some monies to restructure us so we can be more efficient to serve the needs of the district.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Albiani, seconded by Mr. Madison. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. I believe that was unanimous.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Next item is our board member and superintendent reports on committee work. I'm going to start to my left. Anything, Ms. Allen? Dr. Martinez-O'Leary? That's right. We already did that one. Tony, no.
I attended Robert Pierce's facility community, what do you call that?
Yeah.
Right.
Let's save that for other items from the floor since it wasn't committee work, but I look forward to hearing about it. Mr. Albiani, anything? Anything you want to add on the committee work?
Working on it.
Working on it. Good. Yes, Mr. Fortuna.
Yeah, I haven't had one since the last board meeting, but Carrie Hargis has already scheduled one for Chet and I in October.
Oh, sweet. Good stuff. So upcoming work, anything, Mr. Superintendent?
So a couple things I just want to talk to real quick is we do have an Arbinger trainer of trainer session. So it'll be, we're going to train another 30 staff members to be able to roll out this work and do the Arbinger work across the district. It's May 30th, 31st, and 1st. So it's 3 full days of training, 8:30 to 3:30. I do happen to have a spot or two available, and since each of the board members meets the qualifications of having been level 100 and 200 trained, if there's interest by a board member of being, take the next step and being part of a trainer, we've trained nearly 300 people this spring in January and March, and they're mixed teams of classified and certificated people, and my cabinet team has been a huge part of it, and the feedback from people has been seeing those mixed teams of people doing the presentations has been very powerful. So we don't have a board member, but if there's an interest, let me know. We'll get you signed up.
Let the superintendent know. You're so, I know. Can we just go?
There'll be some crying, that's for sure.
Good stuff. Okay, other items from the floor. Let's roll it back this way. Mr. Fortuna, Mr. Madison, Ms. Alviani. Mr. Fettis, now please tell us about that community meeting on facilities.
Robert Pierce, our facility administrator director, he did an excellent job and his staff out there reaching out to our community and getting feedback from parents, teachers. Oh, many people, I couldn't count them. Approximately how there was a pretty packed house. We got a good response. And then, it just so happened that night that they had, Harry and Eddie had an orchestra concert, which I was very surprised in how talented our students are. I was amazed, impressed. What you need to do is get out more often. At that level, I was remarkable. It was remarkable and that just to show you that we need to put more monies in the arts.
Amen. Amen to that. We did that earlier today.
Chump change.
All right, you guys are getting too giddy on me. Yeah, so Dr. Martinez O'Leary, nothing? Anything? Yes, ma'am.
So as just board members will remember, last board meeting, we had some representatives from the Franklin community who came and spoke in regards to getting more information and to find out, sort of what's the next steps for a new school site. So I coordinated with Mr. Pierce, who was gracious enough to host a meeting last week. I unfortunately could not attend because my son also had his board science tonight. But Mr. Pierce did an excellent job presenting factual information for the community. But there still is some misinformation or maybe just not enough information. So we are hosting another meeting tomorrow night, and we're hoping to dispel any rumors that might be out there. But I will be out there with Mr. Pierce and Ms. Sherry to work with the community, and I'm looking forward to having some productive dialogue. So that's the only big thing, and then just good luck everyone on graduation.
Let's not talk about that yet. So really quickly, I need to embarrass Mr. Superintendent, who received AXA Region 3 Superintendent of the Year yesterday. And along with him, Ms. Sanja Lowry, who I see you were gracious enough to, did we give her the night off? Is she here? Oh, see, I thought we gave you the night off. I apologize. So, congratulations. Good stuff. So, and with that, thank you everyone. Onward and upward. Have a good night. Meeting adjourned.